So I thought we were going to do something like that he thought that she was like his long lost love or something.
Nope.
No.
Boobs.
Literally just looking at her boobs. And Danny is like, wait a second. He's into your boobs. Hello and welcome back to the 203rd episode of Good Bad or Bad, the show where we watch terrible movies and tell you if you should too. I'm your host, Mr. Brian Shilligo, joined once again, and as always, by the other host, Mr. Kyle Hinton. Kyle.
Things are getting spooky.
Things are getting spooky. We have the studio decorated for Halloween. That will be our next episode that we record. Things will look a little bit even spookier, but we can't decorate in between episodes because it takes too long. So we do it before we record the double. Anyways, we don't need to talk about how the sausage is made.
Oh, pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
Kyle, today on this pre-Halloween episode, we're getting into the season.
Yes.
With a movie that you found.
Well, I know Brian loves The Mummy.
I do love The Mummy. We famously dressed as The Mummy and Rick O'Connell.
Easily the worst costume.
What?
Easily the worst costume I've had.
No, this is the best. I don't know what you're talking about. You look incredible.
Found a very unknown Mummy sequel.
Yeah.
They couldn't get Brendan Fraser.
No.
Just it couldn't happen. And they also didn't have nearly the budget.
No.
And also they were like, we need tits.
Yes.
That's it. Keep moving.
And also they were like, what if it was just Jurassic Park?
What if it was just Jurassic Park with mummies?
With mummies.
Life finds a way.
The film we're talking about today is The Mummy Theme Park. Kyle, the fuck is this?
I don't know. This is one of those movies that I dumpster dived. Internet Movie Database. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
In YouTube for, and I saw it for a little bit, and I was like, oh my god, this is incredible. We have to do it.
There's a curse. I cannot risk its wrath.
Whoa, did I hear right? A curse?
It's insane. We'll get into it, but it's absolutely insane.
It is very shot on a soundstage.
Yes.
And just reeks of the time machine I found at a yard sale.
Except with a budget like way bigger or something.
Clearly they were building miniatures. This is way before the modern green screen. So they were building miniatures.
Did you say it's way before modern green screen? This film came out in 2000.
I said modern.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, to some extent.
You couldn't just go into Kier 1.2 and mess with the screen.
Right.
And just be like, look, it's great.
Well, that was actually the first thing that got me, is that it says this film is from the year 2000, but man, the opening credits and just the movie in general screams like
mid-90s.
1991, yeah. 1992. It is a wild looking movie. Directed by Alvaro Passeri, an Italian filmmaker, I believe. I think, at least. And it is... Dude, it's the weirdest thing.
I have no clue what this movie's about.
I don't either. I mean, I know what it's about.
You know what it's about? There's, like, why?
What happens if the mummy stops taking orders from you and starts acting on its own impulse? What then?
Yeah. Yes, like, why did they decide?
It's already killing him.
The curse of the mummy, Kyle. No, I mean, actually, so clearly what it is, go ahead.
Why would they name this movie The Mummy Theme Park?
It's the dumbest.
What is the marketing, Brian? No, tell me. What was the marketing with giving it that title? Who would that title appeal to?
Like kids?
What is the first thing they threw in your face?
Boobs?
You think the Sheik will like my boobs,
If you wave those pathetic pancakes at the Sheik, I'll rip your hair out.
It's insane. It makes no... Okay, because, like, so the concept is, okay, The Jurassic Park was popular.
Yes.
And The Mummy was just popular with Brendan Fraser. So, brilliant idea, Kyle.
Let's do it on the budget of Carnosaur.
Yeah, and then make it in Italy on like a $10,000 budget or whatever.
4,000 years of history are about to open their doors to you and reveal their secrets.
Except it's not. We'll get into it. But this movie is fascinating because it's like clearly very low budget, but also full of tons of like work and
it feels like they hired a bunch of people who knew what they were kind of doing, but then we're like, hey, we need you to do this on a budget of like a fifth of
what you should have. Yeah, it's insane. We'll get into it. You mentioned there's miniatures, there's like wacky effects, there's like haunted house effects, there's like
it's nutty
melting
stuff.
people. It's crazy. We'll get into it, but I don't know what I was expecting, but this is wild. Move your mic just a little closer, and then just bring it a little closer, and then down a little bit. Perfect.
I mean, all people are going to hear is me inhaling half the time.
Okay, well then you can move it back a little bit. Perfect. So getting right into it, we open up on some lady communing with Osiris, I think, and we'll find out later, this is Nekhbet or something like that.
Is she like an actual Egyptian goddess?
I think, yeah, she explains later that like what Nekhbet was, but yeah.
It's an important name in Egypt. One of our greatest ancient divinities.
But I think also she's supposed to be like from the Egyptian times. She says at some point that she knew the pharaohs.
She was like some sort of immortal. Like she'd just been around for thousands of years.
Yes, I think that is the case. I don't know if she's supposed to be a god or whatever, or if she just happens to be some immortal human. I don't know. But yes, she has been around forever. Well, I think ultimately what it will be is that she's basically like the Magi from The Mummy. Like
who was the Magi?
The people who protect the tomb and keep them from keep them from
tattoos.
Ardeth Bay, is one of the Magi in the movie The Mummy. But yeah, I think that's like maybe what she's supposed to be, because she says
like a descendant of people who,
or is the same, because I do think she is like ageless.
I think she is ageless.
Yes.
I think she has been around for thousands of years.
So I think maybe it's a thing where she's like, she was somehow, they did some spell to make her live forever so that she could always protect the tombs or something like that. I don't know.
I am the queen of eternity, the direct descendant of Cleopatra.
That's my guess. I have no idea. But whatever she's doing here causes an earthquake.
For reasons.
And my favorite thing with the earthquake, we just cut between a bunch of different green screen sets of people going,
ah! Oh, no! The earthquake!
Yeah.
People get swallowed up. It's great.
Yeah. A miniature like chasm opens up, and we see reveals this big like chasm. And then it cuts.
My favorite thing about all the chasms is like they're all like itty bitty layers of what's clearly cork.
Is that what? Okay,
I think what they did was they took
so interesting
and just sliced it into very thin things and
then like layered it. Yeah, because all the like and the caverns, like when they're in them later, even like they're CG or whatever, or not CG, but it's like a green screen set. They're the same thing. They're like these really interesting looking layers. Like that I think it's supposed to look like layers of stone, but it doesn't really. It looks very strange.
It looks very strange.
But anyway, so we cut. That happens. Some crazy shit goes down, and then we cut to 1 week later, and now we're down in the tunnels, and there's this archaeologist guy.
The scene I was so wanting this to be like ripped right out of The Mummy.
Oh yeah,
with like the salt trap or whatever.
Yeah. Where they find the tomb though, and they're like, it's they read the glyphs on the door.
You mustn't read from the book.
Exactly, and he's like, it's cursed. This is cursed. That is cursed. But it's cursed, and all the workers bail. They're like, screw this.
We're out.
They try to run, and then the Sheik, who we have yet to meet.
God. Yeah.
Who was like the main character.
The shooting, the guns, which are clearly made of plastic.
They just start mowing down all the workers who are trying to run away until one guy is left, and they drag him over and they force him to open it.
They freaking knife that dude. The assassin they have is fantastic, and like
that's right, because then an assassin lady and the lady show up.
Like most assassins, as you are committed your job in stopping this dude, in your dying breaths, you tell people exactly why you did
it. Yeah.
I am Anubis, guardian of the necropolis.
So good. But and then like he's with the lady who we don't know who it is yet, but it's the lady from Nekabet, and she can like walk through walls. Why can people just walk through walls?
Because she has the powers of the pharaohs.
Is that what it is?
I think so.
Okay,
that's where I think that's why the mummies were able to do it.
Yeah, because the mummies later can also just walk through walls, and you're like, what? Like, okay, sure. But so they open the tomb despite the best efforts of the assassin to stop them.
We just get a big old light, and we basically get the from Pulp Fiction, the briefcase effect, where we don't get to see what's really in it, but we just get the
light
all glow.
Yeah, exactly.
We happy? Yeah, we happy.
So they open it, and we don't, like you said, don't get to see what's in it, and then it cuts, and it's 6 months.
6 months later, which the amount of construction that was done in the course of 6 months is wild. But then we cut to Vegas, right?
Somewhere. I don't know if it's Vegas. Yeah, somewhere in the U.S. Maybe Vegas. I actually have no idea. But we cut to this guy, and it's this photographer taking the most insane photos.
Yes.
What is going on here, Carl?
Throw half-naked women in front of like green screen, I guess?
Yeah, it's like a green screen with like weird like laser effects and stuff.
Yes.
It's unhinged. But then my favorite thing is we find out he's like the top photographer in the country taking photos for like some magazine or something.
I've heard much about your photographic work for publicity, and I need the best there is.
I don't know.
Okay.
Or something like that. It's so strange. And so he's like, dude, it's the weirdest photo shoot I've ever seen. But then the Sheik, who again we haven't introduced him, but the Sheik is the guy who found opened the tomb, and he calls, and this old guy answers the phone, and he is like the boss of the photographer.
He's like the owner of the studio. Yeah. Saying, "Hey, I hear you're the greatest publicist photographer."
Yeah,
PR
like photographer, whatever. It's an advertising agency.
So I want to hire you guys for. He doesn't even disclaim what it's for.
No, he won't tell him. He's like, I just need to hire. Yeah,
it's always a good way to.
Great sign. Yeah.
But he says, I can't do it, but I can throw my right hand man there. He can do some photography.
Danny Flynn.
You see those photos of the president at the golf course in Scotland? Oh yeah, that's fantastic.
That was Danny. He's the best. Okay.
But my best photographer, Danny Flynn, is available. He does excellent work.
It's also, I love that like those photos of a president golfing would be like
the most generic fucking
thing and not remotely like the same kind of thing as doing like product photography for a theme park. I don't know, whatever.
You have zero control. You need, like you said, somebody who's doing or somebody's doing like photography for like Vogue or something.
Yeah, it just doesn't. It's so funny. But anyway, so they call him up, and he's like, "All right, I'll come." And his assistant wants to come too because she's very excited about the idea of going to like Middle East. I think it's or Egypt specifically. Yeah. So they're gonna get ready to leave, and then we cut back, and this is where we're again kind of mainly reintroduced to the Sheik, and we have to get introduced to his harem.
Yeah,
he has a harem, and it cuts in, and it's just a girl standing there in front of the mirror, and she goes, "Do you think the Sheik will like my boobs?" And I was like, what is happening?
What is this?
And then the camera does this like dolly down all of the rooms.
Which it's clearly they're cutting because like every single time it does that, we cut on a column.
Like through a column,
what they're clearly doing is breaking down one set and moving another.
Exactly.
Which is
annoying.
Sure.
Yeah.
The head harem woman.
Yes, the main lady who's kind of like a running gag. Yeah.
Everybody.
She like fights people like the other women constantly throughout this.
How do I look as a blonde?
Like a cheap tart.
Oh, damn you!
And that lady goes in to work for to dance for the Sheik. And while she's dancing for him, he picks up his phone and makes a phone call, and he calls like the front reception desk of his own.
It's so weird.
It's the weirdest thing, and that's where Nekabet works.
Yes.
And she picks up the phone, and he's like,
"If you dance for me, I'll pay you well.
Why don't you come dance for me?" And she's like, "No,
I am not one of your harem women."
It's so strange.
My favorite thing about that phone is that they use these all over the place. It's a pharaoh mask.
Yes.
With it says the Mummy theme park.
It's like their like logo or
and
whatever.
Those are everywhere.
Yeah, they were very excited about that. I wonder if they thought they might be able to turn it into an actual theme park if this movie succeeded, Kyle.
Hell no.
God.
The most original tourist attraction ever thought up by man.
But then after she's like, no, fuck off. We cut and we see a man get eaten by a snake. I guess the Sheik just feeds people to snakes.
It's somebody who was like couldn't give him information or was
something.
Somebody who slighted him in some way.
Yeah,
is like throw him into the snake pit.
Yes. And then we cut and Danny Flynn and his assistant Julie are arriving and they're taking a cab. They like get to Egypt and they're taking a cab and they're driving through the desert.
A train goes by.
A miniature train drives
so
through
great.
the background.
And their driver's like,
there's a curse. I cannot risk its wrath.
Whoa, did I hear right? A curse?
This land is cursed. Do not ask questions.
Yeah, and they're like, where's that train going? And he goes, destination.
Where's it going in the middle of the desert?
Destination Hades.
Hades?
Hades. And they're like, what? And then I love they drive in and the palace is a miniature. They get to like the
everything about this
is a miniature. It's incredible.
It's so like there's something that's like nice about miniatures.
Yes.
But this film does not capture it at all.
No. I mean, it's there's a charm to it, but it's.
I'll put it this way: it's impressive the level or the amount of miniatures they use. It is not the way they use them.
No. Well, I don't know. Yeah. It doesn't. Yeah.
4,000 years of history are about to open their doors to you.
They didn't do the scaling. Just feels off in every single time they.
Yeah. It's not the best miniatures you've ever seen. That's for sure. But they get there and like I love all the guards have like spears and M16s. That they carry around with them. They're dressed like old time, like like ancient Egyptian guard, not remotely ancient Egyptian guards.
I thought that was for like the costuming, for like the
theme park,
the pageantry of it.
I don't think so. I think that's just what the Sheik has his guards dressed like.
Great.
But they also have like M16s. But Danny's assistant is like keeps putting her foot in her mouth. She's like insulting the region like constantly, and they're like, "You suck, lady."
Do you have enough water in this place?
I have no doubt you are joking.
But then, so they show them to their rooms, and I love they get in their room, and Julie, there's like an AI assistant or something. She walks in, and the voice from nowhere goes,
"For anything you need, just ask."
How about a bath?
We can get you anything you like or whatever. If whatever you desire, let us know. And she goes, I'd like a bath.
Which just materializes out of nowhere?
It materializes like a waterfall and a pool in like her hotel room.
I'm like, forget the mummy. This technology is way better.
This is what you need to be advertising. This is incredible. So of course she goes and immediately undresses and takes a bath so we can watch her.
And all the people watching through the security.
Yes, like all of his guards and stuff are watching. It's insane. And then so anyway, so that we're kind of introduced to the hotel and that sort of thing. And then we see the receptionist lady again walk through a wall, and then she goes and starts communing with Osiris again. And I'm like, okay, so Nekabet, the one who's the receptionist lady, is also the lady from the beginning who seemingly created this chasm.
Yes.
But now she wants to stop them. I don't understand that because she seemed to be the one who opened it up.
So I thought that what they were doing it for that reason, why they were opening up the chasm, which seems a little dumb now that I think about it, because they go on this whole thing about the winter solstice.
Yes, December 21st is when they can do.
And I thought she was wanting to revive the mummy in this time for some reason.
For her own purposes or something. That could be because it's very strange. Because at the end she wants to close it all back up and like get rid of it, but I'm like, but you're the one who opened it to begin with. Why did you do that? Whatever. Sure. Anyway, so so she's the one talking to Osiris. And then she sicks, I guess, something on Julie, the assistant, to like kill her. We get like a first person perspective of this thing, like watching her sleep and like leering towards her. And then, which is a tease for things to come in our next episode. But Then, and she's like sleeping in this weird black negligee. And
Very
like,
see-through.
Yes, very
yes.
like seductive like negligee. And she, I guess, senses the spirit of this thing or something because she gets up and she goes running to get
to Danny's room. He opens the door and he's like, "Whoa."
Well, I don't know. Truly, we hardly know each other.
Yeah, he's like, huh? And she's like, can I stay with you? There's something weird going on. And he goes, I don't know. We barely know each other. And she's like, I didn't want to sleep with you. Fuck you. And runs away and just leaves.
Okay.
And he's like, okay, bye, I guess. And then she immediately and my favorite thing is like, she gets like, she spends like 2 seconds being offended that he thinks like she wants to sleep with him. And then immediately goes back to being terrified. She's like, help me. What? I don't want to sleep with you. Oh my God, help me. It's so funny. But I guess nothing happens because then it's like the next morning and she's fine.
Yeah. They're like, wait,
what happened? Nothing happened. Okay, great. And I love the sets in this movie. They're so strange, Kyle. Like the main ballroom or like palace room we see that they like constantly walk back and forth at, like under the like. There's like multiple levels and they never go into the higher levels. They only use the first floor.
It seems like a garden almost.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like a courtyard or something like that. It's very interesting, but I love, and they have a wide angle lens that they're shooting a lot of this on. So we get these big, like wide angle shots. There's another one where they get into this room that has like, it's like his bedroom or whatever, where it has like this big circular ceiling. And I don't know, it's such a strange, the sets are so fascinating to me. I don't know the thought process behind the designs and it's so strange. But this is where the Sheik reveals, the next morning, he reveals he's creating a mummy theme park.
The most original tourist attraction ever thought up by man.
That's his whole plan.
Yes.
He's like, we can bring back mummies and we're creating a theme park.
Is this the part where he and the scientist like kind of explain
yes.
how they control it?
He walks them through the lab or whatever. Yeah.
And they're talking. He's talking with like you said. This is where it gets very Jurassic Park.
This is very Jurassic Park.
He's breaking down like how they're reanimating these mummies.
Yeah.
And how they're controlling these mummies.
Yes.
The mummy is electrically animated. It's really a very straightforward process.
Of course, now that you say Jurassic Park, the only thing that goes through my mind is mummy DNA.
Mummy DNA.
Bingo. Dino DNA.
Yeah, but they're putting microchips in the mummy's brains.
Yeah.
And I actually thought it was kind of clever. They say like how they're like, and we are able to like reconstruct their faces. And they're like, oh, here, we'll show you the process. And the way they do this is they do the Raiders of the Lost Ark
in reverse.
Melting face effects, but reverse it.
It's great. Like, it just reconstitutes.
It's amazing. It's so funny.
What I don't understand is why... So, like, they said, like, what happens if the mummy just works on its own accord?
Yeah.
It doesn't want to follow you. I'm like, it's effectively a meat puppet. Why would, like... just stop it before it reanimates its central nervous system or whatever.
The electrical current surges from the brain through the nervous system, creating movement of the limbs.
Also, and that's basically what he says. He's like, well, we have a chip in it and we can just like electrocute it and stop it or whatever. It's like, all right, fine.
Which apparently killing a mummy is impossible.
At the end of this movie, we'll find out very difficult to kill a mummy. But I love one of the other walking through the lab, and one of the lab sections we see, there's a skeleton in the background,
dancing.
like walking.
Like this was pre-rendered assets. It has to have
no. It's a real prop. It's not pre-rendered assets. It's a stage show. It's a magic trick, Kyle.
Oh, God.
It's literally like a haunted house for little kids. It's just a white skeleton against a black backdrop on like puppet things going.
This whole aspect of it with the train, with the exhibits, with something like that.
Yeah.
All this just screams, this is a movie that was kind of focused on kids. It's called the Mummy Theme Park.
Yeah.
And then we're just giving boobs.
And then they're like, but also he has a harem and there's boobs a lot. And it's like, what? Why? Make up your mind about what your movie is.
Shut up, you silly cow!
Because it's absolutely ridiculous. So he's going to start taking them on the tour. Again, this is it's just Jurassic Park. He takes them on the tour, and I love at one point, they got to get to the train. He puts them on like a people mover.
Yes.
And they're like on, and you see
That people mover looks like shit.
It's terrible. It's clearly just like a piece of like cloth that somebody is yanking or whatever. But I love they're on the people mover, and I guess they didn't tell Danny, the actor playing Danny, because he's on it. He's like, no, he's like He's like pretending to walk, even though they're not. He's like moving like he's walking. It's so weird. It's so strange. And also
I can grasp that part.
It's very subtle, but you see him in back. His arms, he's moving like he's like pretending to walk in place. It's like, but you're not. But you're whatever. I think he thought it was like the things at the airport where you still walk, but it makes you go faster. But what we see in the movie is they're just standing on it, like it's whatever. It doesn't matter. It's just very funny. Also, the Sheik cannot stop perving on Julie because he's just a horn dog, and that's
constantly.
Yeah. So then he gets him to the train, and they hop on the train, and the train miniatures are fantastic. We get these shots of this train driving through these tunnels.
This was like they purchased a train set that like a 50-year-old man would be building in his basement.
Yes, absolutely. I had a neighbor across the street growing up. His name was Mickey. This old man who sat on his porch all day and smoked a pipe, and he wore a train conductor outfit. And when he died, we went into his basement, and and his family got rid of all stuff. Hundreds of thousands of trains. He had a whole basement full of, and we took them all. They threw them away. They threw away like hundreds of like really nice model trains and just left them on the curb, and we just like took them all because they were just like throwing them away.
His family are shitheads.
Yeah, I don't think they. Yeah, it was just some random people.
Oh, there's Dad's train set.
Yeah,
guess we don't need that.
Oh my God, we took like all of them because it was really cool. But yeah, he had like a whole train set in his basement. And that guy was crazy. Just this old crotchety conductor man.
So I tied an onion to my belt, which was the style at the time.
He explains as they're going on this tour. He's like they're like driving through the park slowly, and we're seeing like the embalming process, and like it's like it's like showing like what the ancient Egypt or whatever.
This is why, because we are seeing how they even like the lab parts where they're like showing how they're going about reanimating them and stuff like that.
Yes.
And then we get to a rest stop area.
Yes, like the food.
It's like the food court. Which I guess are these people never allowed to get off the train? Like is the whole thing take place
like
in
it's
the train?
all on the train, yeah, because they literally order their food and the window like comes down and they hand them like popcorn and a beer.
My favorite part about the drink dispensers is that it comes out of the little gold goatee of the mask.
Yeah, they have drink dispensers on the wall that are a mummy face, like a pharaoh's face or whatever, like the death mask. Yes. And yeah, the drink comes out of it and it's all automated. Like the guy like hits a button and it just pours the beer for him.
So funny.
It's so good. And then he hands him the drinks or whatever. They keep going, and then at some point they explain that, and I think it's while they're on the train, they explain that the mummies that on December 21st basically explains how they built the tombs.
Winter solstice. Yes. They built the tombs.
A ray of sight penetrates the interior and lights up the cobra.
They built the tomb so that on the winter solstice, the light came through a certain way, and then they used that sunlight.
Again, with the mummy.
Yes.
Because they did the intricate...
Oh, the mirrors, the system of mirrors, yes.
Yes.
And it's kind of like that, yeah, exactly. And that they use
Where else
that...
did they do that? They also did a National Treasure. They do it in
Probably,
Indiana Jones too?
I don't think so in Indiana Jones. I mean, in Indiana Jones, he does the thing where he puts where he gets the staff with the thing on top and he puts it in the spot and the sun, like, shows him where the ark is or whatever, I think. But yeah, so similar idea. But he tells him that the sun, it's like special sunlight on the solstice that will cause the mummies to just come to life or something. Who knows?
Then what happens?
The mummy comes to life.
Precisely.
And that it hits this microchip a certain way and that'll wake up all the mummies. Meanwhile, one of the guards realizes that Nekabet is like working against them.
Yes.
Like he's like,
Nekabet is a traitor. Why? I found out she is trying to derail the theme park project.
Hey, Nekabet's a traitor. She's trying to stop the theme park. And he goes to like confront her and she melts him.
Dude, he's like vomiting up his inside.
Yes, it's pretty awesome. She turns him into a snake or something, I think. I'm not sure what happened.
Yeah, he has like a forked tongue at some point.
Yeah, but he's like, it's a cool. It reminds me of something like The Fly or something like that kind of level of like over the top gore.
But he drops out, his tongue drops out.
Yeah,
and then like it looks like his organs are just vomiting up.
It's gnarly.
And then it opens up into like a lizard's mouth.
Yes.
It's so weird.
It's so wild. It's gnarly. It's pretty cool. And again, moments like that, you're like, all right. But again, who is this for? This is not for children again.
It looks pretty, like it's great body horror.
Yeah.
But it feels so out of place.
Yeah, you're like, why is that in this movie? What is this? It's fascinating. But then we cut back to the train and they arrive at the tomb, like the main place where the mummies are, I guess.
And we see the exhibit.
Which is a cool set.
Which I guess they're able to replicate the sunlight, kind of, because that's how we're able to animate the mummy?
I don't know. Yeah, I have no idea. But they get there and it's a cool set. It's like this big stone room with like these columns and like the sarcophagus like circled around the room or whatever.
They do a stop animation of the coffin opening or sarcophagus opening, and it's like set to like one frame every every other frame. It's very slow.
Yeah. But then the sunbeam comes in and we get this like golden sparkly like laser comes flying in and it hits the main sarcophagus and it opens up and he comes out and he goes, I am Minos the Fourth, the pharaoh, the great pharaoh, whatever, blah 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 blah. And he goes, oh, and I fathered over 100 children or something like that.
And I fathered 170 children.
And I love it. Cuts to the train, and Danny Flynn goes,
a mummy that moves and talks.
And fathers.
A mummy that moves and talks. And then Julie goes, and fathers. And I'm like, what? That's such a weird line.
It's so great.
Why would you
also,
say
did
that?
he do all that when he was alive? Okay.
Yeah, it's so weird.
And what's even more wild is like, there's no thought at all of like, oh, that could just be some dude in bandages.
No.
Like everything here could just be some elaborate.
It could all be an elaborate hoax, but no, they're like, no, that's got to be a real mummy.
It's
It's got to be a real mummy. It has to be. So, and he's like, wow, they're like, that's amazing. And then they see that he has like shackles on his leg, and then he like goes back into his coffin and it ends, and then they go back to the hotel.
This could all be a Scooby-Doo episode.
Yeah, really, really could. He goes back to the hotel. Meanwhile, Sheik now still wants Nekabet to dance for him. She still doesn't want to dance for him. We watch a random scene of women in the harem just fighting.
Yeah.
I think the movie thought things were getting too boring and was like, we need something to happen. Let's just have these women wrestle for a few minutes.
Okay.
We don't even know who they are. They never really matter. Then, while the Sheik is sitting there in his main room, this mystic guy comes in. I don't know who he's supposed to be. Some guy.
He's like some sort of like ritualistic shaman.
Yeah, something, yeah. And he brings in a little bowl and he puts like dried lizards
in a skull and incense and stuff.
Yeah, and starts burning it, and it creates a lady, like the image of a lady.
Yeah.
And the Sheik's like, nah, I want the lady.
I want a real fool in the flesh.
I wanted it to look like Nekabet. And so he changes something, and then it turns into Nekabet.
Yes. And she like
so she can dance for him.
Yeah, she looks like she's solidified there.
Yeah,
but not.
Nah, because then he goes to try to touch her, and he gets real mad, and that he can't touch her, so he feeds the shaman guy to the snake.
Yes.
Give him a good bath.
The
You
bath?
know what I mean.
I don't need a bath.
It's like, what did you think, man? You think it was going to create an actual human being out of, like, burned lizard flesh or whatever? Like, what did you think was going to happen there? Oh, God. But at this point, Danny's like, I think somebody had talked to Danny at some point or warned him, because he's starting to freak out. He's like, we got to get out of here. This shit's fucked.
I look, not to get too morbid, but here's an option for the Sheik dude. Just have her killed and bombed like a mummy, and then res her, and you can control her. After a call from our lawyers, I am retracting my previous statement. And we are continuing on with the episode, and I will see court proceedings continue from here.
Court proceedings. Oh my goodness. Anyway, so Danny's like, we should get the fuck out of here, because he doesn't he doesn't like it or whatever. He's worried something's going on. Meanwhile, Julie's just taking a bath again, because she just likes taking baths, of course.
Because, like you said, the movie's getting too boring.
Yeah, the movie's getting too boring. We gotta show a woman in a bathtub or something. Come on. Then Nekabet wakes up one of the mummies and it starts rolling around just murdering people.
Yes.
I don't know what like. Also, it can sword fight. It's a very agile mummy.
Very agile.
It's literally like fighting people. And there's a great scene where it cuts a guy's head off and it rolls across the floor and then he's like,
it's like a paper mache head.
Yeah.
And then it rolls into a composited like
real person's head.
It's wild.
It's really good. It's really good. But then that happens and a couple guys die, but I guess, it's whatever. It's fine, I guess. And then we cut to the next day and they're going to go take photos finally. It's finally time for the photographer to actually take the photos he was hired to take.
So they activate the beam.
Yes,
to wake
the mummy up so that he can take the photo. And as he's taking photos, his camera flash keeps going off.
Yes.
And the camera flash drives the mummy into a murderous rage.
Yeah, exactly. Of course it does. What else would happen?
Obviously.
So it goes on murder rampage time.
Yes. He walks through a wall and just starts murdering people.
Yeah.
And I love there's a great line. Somebody yells, "Shit! The mummy's out of the tomb!"
Shit! The mummy's out of the tomb! How the hell did it do that?
How the hell did it do that?
That's great. The security people, modern everything, are so much fun. Like everything they're saying is clearly you have no direction on the script. You're just saying a random ass line.
Yeah, you're just saying a line that they give you. So much of the movie is that way. It feels like, honestly.
Close the iron gratings in sections 2, 3, and 4.
And they try to shut it down, but apparently the mummy can just rips the microchip out of its head.
Yeah.
And it's like, fuck you, do what I want, I'm the mummy. And they're like, oh no, what do we do now? And then I don't know if the mummy does this or if somebody else does, but the train crashes through. How did that happen?
I have no idea.
The train just comes flying through the wall and just like crashes and destroys everything and then catches on fire and everything starts burning.
Which I guess I had a spare train because it's fine later.
I was wondering if the mummy was driving the train because we see a shot where it's standing on top of it like, and I'm like, wait,
that would be great if this pharaoh from like 3,000 years ago was like knew how to
operate a train and just drove it through a wall. It's incredible. But now Danny and Julie have to try to escape from the tombs or whatever. But they're trapped. And they explained earlier that they have these metal grates that they can use for security to close things down and lock it down.
Which apparently only stops people from escaping.
Yeah, really. Well, and that's the thing. It's so funny because they're like, the fire's spreading. We got to do something. So they start shutting these gates, but they're just airflow can get through. They're not, they're not like fire doors or whatever.
It's like a portico.
Yeah, exactly. And so it literally can't. It's so stupid. But they start shutting all these things, so our people are trapped inside. And they're like, "Oh no, what do we do?" And then my favorite scene in the movie happens, Kyle. Julie and Danny are confronted by the mummy.
I knew you would love this scene.
How could you not
when I saw this,
scene,
I was like,
Kyle?
we're doing this movie.
How could you not love this scene?
The mummy is entranced by lust.
So you know how in The Mummy with Brendan Fraser, the mummy sees Rachel Weisz and thinks she's a Noxinamoon because she kind of looks like a Noxinamoon or whatever. And then I think we find out later that she is like the reincarnated spirit in the sequel. I can't remember. But she looks like, so I thought we were going to do something like that he thought that she was like his long lost love or something.
Nope.
No.
Boobs.
Literally just looking at her boobs. And Danny is like, wait a second. He's into your boobs. We can use this to our advantage.
He's checking out your breasts.
And so he literally, and I love, we get this slow push in on her boobs and the mummy's face, like back and forth. And it's like, oh, it's so good.
I was kind of wanting, just as a moment of like humor, where Danny's about ready to drop the acid on him, and he just gets infatuated. He's like, oh, right, shit.
But yeah, so that's the thing is he's like,
just open your blouse.
Are you crazy? Picking for a horny corpse?
Trust me.
Open your blouse to distract him. So she opens her blouse and just look at my boobs, and the mummy's like, ugh. And then Danny dumps a whole bucket of acid.
Yeah,
that was just sitting there. I guess
turns him into like gooey liquid.
Gooey mummy. He's
gooey mummy now.
Are they usually so juicy?
he's still
Juicy.
Great. Oh goodness. But yeah, so he melts him, and then I thought, oh well, good, they got him. But no, he gets back up. And it's coming after him, and now Danny's chasing him around with a log. Danny's like holding like a log, and he just starts beating the shit out of the mummy with the log.
He beats the meat. Well, man,
he beats the meat clean off the bone, Kyle. You knew what you were saying. You chose those words on purpose. Yes, it's incredible. He beats him, just beats him into oblivion, like pounds him into dust. And then that still doesn't
He's just a skeleton now.
He pops up as a skeleton and starts coming after him. And he's making little laughing noises. He's like chasing him like and I'm like, what is going on?
Somebody was playing EverQuest.
It's so funny. But then he's coming after him. So then Danny pushes a boulder.
A rock on him. Yeah.
Yes. Pushes a boulder on him.
But wait,
he's still not dead. His hand. What was it's the hand in the Addams Family.
Cousin.
Cousin. It's the hairy one. Thing. Yeah. Little skeleton hand gets up and starts walking, and it jumps and wraps around Julie's neck and starts strangling her. And I thought they missed a real opportunity for it to jump and grab her boob, because that seemed like the punchline, right?
That would have been great.
That felt like the obvious punchline from everything we have set up here, but they don't do it.
It's something like this that the amount of times it keeps coming back reminds me of I think it was in the pilot of the Venture Brothers, where Brock is beating a mummy to re-death or whatever, and then he just pisses on it. He says, "Doc, you got to desecrate a mummy's corpse. That's the only way to prevent it from coming back."
You have to defile a mummy completely, or they come back to life. You know that.
There you go. Well, they find that out the hard way in this one, but they are finally able to kill it. Throws the hand, or I don't remember how he stops it, but he's able to defeat him, and they're able to get away. And then
they get back to the palace. They're being detained.
Yes, they get arrested by the guards or whatever. And Nekabet shows up and is like, "Hey," and she explains that the pharaoh is alive because of the curse that they did or whatever.
After he has fed on the flesh of his profaners, he can return.
And that once he's fed the flesh of those who disturbed him, he will return or something.
Again, right out of the mummy.
Yeah, literally just the mummy or whatever. But then they decide to go to bed that night. I guess they can't leave.
I guess it's fine.
Yeah, they go to bed and they just decide to have sex because, of course, why not? Sure.
And also for people who are being detained because there's stuff about this theme park that he's trying to open that they don't want to get out, he just has access to a cell phone.
Yeah, he calls his boss and is like, "Hey, we're being held prisoner here." And his boss is like, "Nah, you're not." Yeah. And then the call drops and he's like, "Oh, fuck, all right, well, I guess
that's great.
I guess we're fucked."
Do you think that's really necessary? Danny?
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello?
But they have a plan. They have a plan, Kyle. There's we got a plan in the morning. They come up with some plan to defeat the theme park.
Sure.
So they get onto the train again, and they got to go take some more photos. And they get on the train, and they drive in. And I love the shot of the little miniature train driving into the sign, the Mummy theme park sign on the wall. It's the logo that the train going into. It's so funny. But they get there. And then when they arrive, Julie loops the security footage. I'm not even sure why this matters.
I will say, the first time we were going through these tunnels, right, and we were seeing all these people doing construction and stuff, I was getting some real Half-Life vibes, in the intro where we're going through Black Mesa.
Yeah.
I was
see it.
What? Okay.
I could see it. But she loops the security camera footage, which I don't know why it matters, but she does. So that the guards
loop it. It's just a still image.
That's right. That's true. She just puts a still image that they took the other day up on the thing, and so that the guards won't show up when they do what they're about to do. Then they do this basically so that Nekabet can confront the Sheik. They go in to take photos with the mummy.
Yeah, they're in the main chamber.
Yeah. And the mummy comes out and he's like, "Go in there. I'm going to stand next to it. I'll take your photos." And then Nekabet comes out wearing a badass mask. She has this crazy mask thing going on. And she basically is like, "You guys suck. I hate you." Or whatever.
So I'm going to start. They shoot her so many times.
God of the sun, you who guard the doors of the horizon.
They shoot her so much.
Which apparently does nothing. However,
stabbing her seems to work. At least to some extent, yeah. So they shoot the shit out of her. Nothing happens while she's doing some like spell or whatever. And then the guy stabs her, and that seems to work. But that she wakes up the other mummies, I guess, is what she's doing. And then the mummies start like killing everybody, basically. And I think there's a pretty good scene where was it this one? Oh, no, yeah, it's coming up here in just a second. So the other mummies wake up. Julie hacks the train so they can escape.
She hooks up her Windows gateway portable.
Yeah. And so they can escape, and then we cut back into the tomb, and like all of the guards are getting murdered by mummies, and there's some pretty fun stuff in here.
Like they're getting like their eyeballs like shot out.
He like hits them in the head, and their like eyeballs pop out. One of the guys gets his nuts ripped off. We don't see him, but like a mummy grabs his nuts. Yes. One of the guys they loved it so much they used it twice. A sword.
His head sliced
vertically
in half.
Yeah,
and then you see the brain. It's so good.
They liked it so much they mirrored the shot and used it again. And then there's also a great one where like a bug like crawls into a guy. I think I like the mummy like with the scarab kind of idea.
One of them gets his leg ripped off, and then the mummy just takes that leg and starts beating other people with it.
Yes, I love the one too where the guy gets his head impaled onto the pillar, and he's just like, oh, God. There's some fun shit in there.
Yeah, they're pretty wacky.
It's pretty good. So there's lots of nonsense as everybody's dying. Meanwhile, our Julie and Danny are escaping on the train to get out of there. And at the last minute, as they're all about to escape, we cut back in, and Nekabet is able to cast a spell that turns the Sheik
into a, because the Sheik is like, everything's crashing around me.
Yes,
I guess I might as well get in a sarcophagus.
He gets in the sarcophagus.
It should be safe in there.
Yeah,
and then he gets turned into a mummy.
She wraps him up with a magic spell or whatever, turns him into the mummy. Congratulations. And she tells Danny and Julie to go back to America.
Escape. Go back to your own country.
She's like, you guys get out of here.
Get out of here.
Yeah. And then they get on the train, their escape, and there's like, as they're like relaxing on the train, they have a great line where they're like, I guess it's like there never was a mummy theme park.
It's like there never was a mummy theme park. Did we dream it?
I guess so. And then it cuts to the other train compartment, and the mummy.
It's the mummy and Nekabet.
And they're just like hanging out on the train. I think it's like not really supposed to be there. It's more of like a metaphorical thing or something, but it's super stupid.
Also, and just because we're getting to the end here, to what purpose do our main characters have to the story?
I mean, what do you mean?
Like, they're not like, they're just reacting to everything.
Yes.
There's nothing about them that's driving action other than when they're already put into the situation and they're like, we gotta fight back and hack the system or whatever. Yeah. They're so incidental to everything going on.
Yeah, until the very end. Yeah, which is kind of like Jurassic Park in the same way where, like, you know, they're just basically there until things go wrong.
You're right. It's Wayne Knight's fault that started everything.
Yeah. But they get away. The mummy theme park gets consumed by the earth again. Returns from whence it came. And everybody lived happily ever after, I guess. The end. I don't know what this movie is, Kyle. Is it good, bad? Maybe? Yes.
I mean, it doesn't... Kind of. I'm not going to say it's not boring because there's definitely parts that are very boring.
That's true. It's not,
I would say like the halfway point onward, everything feels like good bad.
Yes.
The beginning part of the film feels like bad.
A little, It's a little boring and silly at the beginning, or like kind of slow at the beginning, but it does pick up. And like you said, it's not really not that boring overall. So yeah, I think good bad makes sense. I think it makes sense. Honestly, you got to reward that level of commitment to the miniatures and all that shit. If you're going to, and like some of the wackier like practical special effects.
The budget.
It would be fascinating to see what the budget was, because it had to simultaneously be almost nothing and also way more money than you think. I feel like at the same time,
because it wasn't they weren't paying the actors good money because nobody knows who the hell any of these people are.
They're just random people, and it might not even be their voices because the entire movie is 80 yards.
It's all 80 yards.
Entire movie is 80 yards, so it might even be the actual people talking that you hear in the final thing, but. That's going to do it for this episode. As always, you can do us a favor by heading over to patreon.com/GBorBB. Support us there, get access to some bonus content and other fun stuff. I have a podcast called This Film Was It. We're talking about movies that are based on books. When this episode is out, our most recent episode will have been Rope, I think. The Hitchcock
Hitchcock?
film. Yeah.
Okay,
it's based on a play, apparently.
Have you seen the film before?
I have not, no.
It's supposed to be like simulate one continuous take.
Yeah, that's the only thing I knew about it. It's based on like a true story.
Yeah, the cuts are like covered by like moving object in front of the camera and stuff like that.
Classic stuff. Just like this movie when they go from room to room and they.
I think like the cameras were limited to about 12 minutes per reel at that point. Yeah.
That's what our old cameras used to be. That's crazy if that's the case. Our old Canons that we shot on were 12 minutes per like file or whatever. Anyways, the merch, you can go to TeePublic, all stuff's in the link. That's it. Till next time, we'll see you on the Halloween special 2024. Spooky. Till that time, keep watching movies.
Especially The Mummy!
Theme Park. What a movie.